In this video, Kathy Goller, an experienced diocesan leader from the Diocese of Buffalo, helps pilgrims going to Krakow understand what the experience of the World Youth Day pilgrimage will include, and offers some tips for preparing to fully participate. She highlights, for all World Youth Day pilgrims, the importance of the different elements within World Youth Day, including the catechesis, the events with Pope Francis, and many of the wonderful opportunities that await pilgrims this July. In the second half of the video, Kathy helps orient pilgrims on how to be ready to navigate both the streets and menus of Krakow and other important details for traveling to Poland and to the main World Youth Day venues.
Are you ready for World Youth Day? I'm Kathy Goller from the Diocese of Buffalo, New York, and I invite you to join me for a brief overview of World Youth Day and its schedule. Once you understand what lies in store for you in Krakow, you'll be one step closer to being ready for this amazing pilgrimage of faith. World Youth Day was initiated by St. John Paul II in 1985 as a pilgrimage experience for young people, including prayer, catechesis, personal reflection, and celebration. Since that time, World Youth Day has been held all around the globe, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of two of them, in Denver, Colorado in 1993 and in Toronto in 2002. And I am very excited to be joining you in Krakow in 2016. But as we get ready, we should remember that there's three key aspects to what World Youth Day is. First, John Paul II began World Youth Day as a way to celebrate and put trust in young people. Youth and young adults are not only the future of the church, but we're active participants in the church today. World Youth Day brings together young people from all over the world, where the Holy Father is able to entrust the church and its mission to younger generations. World Youth Day is not just a celebration of youth and young adults, it's calling young people forth to carry on this great mission of faith. And for this reason, the second important aspect of World Youth Day is to see it as a pilgrimage. In doing so, we follow the example of countless Christians in history who have understood the power of making a journey to a holy place. World Youth Day is a pilgrimage for holy purposes and reflects the road of faith that young people travel throughout their lives. And the third important aspect to World Youth Day is encountering the Catholic community. In today's society that uses technology to be constantly in contact, World Youth Day goes beyond that and gives youth and young adults a personal encounter with Jesus Christ and the international Catholic community that they just can't get through their phones or computers. So now that you get the gist of why World Youth Day is so important, I'd like to take you on a walk through the schedule. In 2016, the World Youth Day events in Krakow officially begin on Tuesday, July 26th, with the opening Mass in Błonia Park in the afternoon. The local Archbishop of Krakow is expected to preside at this Mass as he welcomes all of us, the young people of the world, to his home diocese and the host country of Poland. Błonia Park is currently really just an open field and park just outside the city center in Krakow, which will be transformed into holy ground for this special occasion. Each of the next 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, follow a similar pattern. Each begins with catechesis in the morning, offered in different languages by bishops from around the world. These bishops will introduce pilgrims to teachings on the Beatitude, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy," which of course is the theme chosen by Pope Francis for this year's World Youth Day. These catechetical sessions will be held in various churches and arenas in Krakow and the surrounding area, and each session concludes with the celebration of the Eucharist. One special feature of the catechetical sessions for this World Youth Day is that on one of these days, your group will be assigned to take part in Catechesis on the Way. For this experience, catechesis will take place on pilgrimage to the Łagiewnicki district, a suburb of Krakow that holds great religious significance. By visiting the two destinations for this pilgrimage, pilgrims will spiritually meet the two patrons of this World Youth Day. The first location is the Divine Mercy Sanctuary, which is the resting place of St. Faustina Kowalska and the Shrine to Divine Mercy. The second is the St. John Paul II Center, a newly built sanctuary dedicated to the former pope. These two shrines are within walking distance of each other. Both of these great saints are connected to Krakow. Now, they never met, but divine providence connected them together in a very significant way. It was John Paul II who canonized St. Faustina and instituted the Feast of Divine Mercy in the entire church. These two saints of Krakow, we might call them the Apostles of Divine Mercy. They're the patron saints of World Youth Day in 2016. Their lives are examples for us of deep trust in divine mercy, expressed in the words, Jesus, I trust in you. Or, as you'll likely hear in Polish throughout World Youth Day, Jezu, ufam Tobie. At World Youth Day, the mornings are filled with catechesis and Mass, and in the afternoons and evenings, pilgrims enjoy the Youth Festival and the Vocation Center. The Youth Festival is a robust schedule of artistic, religious, spiritual events held all throughout Krakow and the surrounding area. Pilgrims have an opportunity to participate in concerts, exhibitions, workshops, sporting events, theatrical events, and much, much more. Through the Youth Festival, pilgrims will experience the richness of our universal church and share in activities prepared for pilgrims by pilgrims. Now, the Vocation Center is a place where religious congregations, Catholic schools and universities, religion publishers, missionary organizations, and national and international movements can present their work. The Vocation Center's goals are to show young pilgrims different paths of discovering and living their vocation in the church, and to encourage them to look for answers to the question of what God expects from us in our lives. So for Wednesday through Friday of World Youth Day, the days are anchored by catechesis in the morning and the Youth Festival and Vocation Center in the afternoons and evenings. But there are 3 special events on these days that are worth noting. On Wednesday, July 27th, in the early evening, U.S. pilgrims are invited to gather for a prayer service with others from our country and our bishops. This is a great opportunity to celebrate our distinct identity as American Catholics and our role within the Universal Church. On Thursday, July 28th, excitement will raise another notch as we welcome our current Holy Father, Pope Francis, to Krakow. This is our first chance to be with the Holy Father and to pray with him. During the service, we will listen to the Word of God, and Pope Francis will have a chance to address the pilgrims. It is an amazing experience of the International Universal Church coming together with our Pope. On Friday, July 29th, World Youth Day participants will celebrate the Way of the Cross. This special prayer shows the penitential aspect of our faith and of World Youth Day. Meeting the crucified Christ through this special prayer with the Holy Father is always a highlight of the World Youth Day experience. Saturday, July 30th, begins with a morning Mass for U.S. pilgrims with our bishops. This gives us another chance to celebrate our unique national identity amidst the international church. Then we embark on a significant physical pilgrimage as we prepare for the final activities of World Youth Day. The prayer vigil on Saturday night and the final Mass on Sunday are held in the same location, and pilgrims stay overnight right in that place. For the Krakow World Youth Day, the location is a large field right outside of the city, which, in keeping with the theme of this World Youth Day, will be called Campus Misericordiae, or Field of Mercy. On Saturday, pilgrims will walk to Campus Misericordiae to prepare for the final 2 events of World Youth Day. The vigil with the Holy Father is the most personal part of the Central World Youth Day events. It's an amazing and inspiring time of prayer and meeting with Christ. It is characterized by deep prayerfulness and great joy. Pope Francis is expected to address all of us gathered there, and we will join him in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. The next day, we join in the last event of World Youth Day, the final Mass with the Holy Father. In this Eucharistic celebration, the Pope sends us out to the whole world to share the good news of God's mercy. And that's it. Whew. Quite a journey. I'm a little overwhelmed already, and all we've done so far is talk about it. Which brings up an important point. In order to really get the most out of these days, it's important to be prepared, spiritually and physically. There are lots of ways to prepare spiritually, and that's a topic for another video. But let me offer a word about the physical expectations. All pilgrims should be prepared for the physical discomfort and hardships that we might encounter, which could include extensive walking, up to 10 miles a day, standing or sitting for long periods of time, possibly without the option to sit down, unpredictable weather, unfamiliar food or a lack of food, long lines for, or sometimes a lack of access to bathrooms, large crowds, long lines, and traffic jams for sure, because of the number of people that will be there. When it comes to the prayer vigil and the final Mass, and staying overnight at Campus Misericordiae, it's good to remember that getting there and back will include a long walk each way. It could be up to 10 miles or more one way. We'll be sleeping outside, and we will be outdoors for at least 36 hours. Pilgrims should bring what they need for the night, and we all need to remember we've got to carry whatever we bring. Now, these reminders aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to prepare you. World Youth Day is a challenging event, but it's doable. And in the doing, I think you'll find many graces and blessings in store for you through all of the hardships and challenges. I hope this helps you to know a little bit more about what to expect at World Youth Day 2016. I'm sure it will be an amazing and holy adventure, and I look forward to seeing you on pilgrimage in Krakow.
Mercy that shall be shown to those who show mercy. Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the merciful, for it is mercy that shall be shown to those who show mercy.
Krakow, here we come. So you're headed to Krakow for World Youth Day 2016, but you've never been there before, and maybe you're wondering what it will be like. I'm Kathy Goller from the Diocese of Buffalo, New York, and I'm happy to share with you some details about Krakow, Poland, and answer some of the questions you might have about transportation, safety, food, and currency. Let's start with getting around. If you will be attending World Youth Day as part of a group, and you're traveling in and around Krakow by motor coach, you should only plan to make use of that bus before or after the World Youth Day events. The official World Youth Day events run from Tuesday through Sunday. During those days, buses will be kept out of the city of Krakow. While Krakow is a beautiful city and a remarkable and perfect location for this World Youth Day, which focuses on mercy, it's a small city, and the streets can't handle the bus traffic that's going to come with the expected 2 million pilgrims. So during World Youth Day, you should plan to walk or use public transportation to get into and around Krakow and the city center. All pilgrims will be given a transit pass for the days of World Youth Day, which will allow you to ride the buses and trams of the public transit system. The system is fairly extensive in its coverage and reach throughout the city center and also the surrounding areas. However, as I mentioned, Krakow is a fairly small city, and the organizers are expecting 2 million or more pilgrims. The transit system infrastructure probably won't fully support that influx of people. It's good to know about the system and be prepared to use it, but it's also a good idea to be prepared to walk anywhere you need to go. As a general guide, prepare yourself to walk up to 10 miles per day. Now, this amount that you'll need to walk or move around will vary depending on where you're staying during World Youth Day, but I offer 10 miles a day as an average. For the public transit system around the city of Krakow, the system includes buses and trams. Areas outside of the city where some pilgrims are staying are connected by rail lines. You can find maps of bus, tram, and railway routes online. This can help you to plan your likely routes in advance of your trip. You might want to look up the location of your lodging and begin to figure out the public transit options from there to the various locations you'll need to go to. For example, Stare Miasto, or the center of the city, your catechetical site, and the Łagiewniki district for the catechesis on the way opportunity. Of course, you should also figure out the walking route and distance to these locations in case the transit system isn't an option. While you'll receive a transit pass that gives you free travel for the days of World Youth Day, if you need to use a bus or tram or train in the days before or after the World Youth Day events, you'll need to purchase a ticket. Be sure to check your transit pass to see which days it's valid for, so you know whether or not you need to purchase a ticket. Most of the major stops have ticket machines, and if not, you can purchase a ticket from a machine on board or from the driver if there's no machine. The ticket machines at the major bus and tram stops are trilingual, with instructions in Polish, German, and English. These machines take currency in bills and coins. If you need to buy your ticket on board the bus or tram, be aware that the ticket machines on board only take coins. And most importantly, you must validate your ticket by stamping it immediately on boarding the tram or bus in the small orange machines on board, even if you just bought your ticket on board. There are inspectors who regularly travel on the lines, handing out costly fines to those who travel without valid tickets. Now, we might hope that they would be merciful during this World Youth Day, but it's best not to take chances. Campus Misericordiae, or the Field of Mercy, is the location of the Papal Vigil and Mass. It is several miles outside of the city center of Krakow, and because of the enormous numbers of people who will be moving there, we're not expecting it to be accessible by transit. Pilgrims should be prepared to walk to and from the Vigil and Final Mass. In terms of safety and smart travel, here's a few tips you'll want to keep in mind. First, it's of course wise to be sure that you do not travel alone. Always stay with a group or a partner. Second, when it comes to navigating, you can make a plan to use any technological aids that you can: GPS, mapping functions on smartphones, apps, or transit system websites. However, you should also be prepared to do without technology. You never know when your battery will get low or when you might not be able to get a signal or access Wi-Fi, so you might want to always have maps on hand. Third, do your best to live by the customary rules of the road. Don't walk in traffic, don't cross against a stoplight, and be sure to use the crosswalks. Be careful, especially when walking through, along, or across streets. Remember that the streets will be exceptionally crowded with both cars and pedestrians, and that heavy congestion might put some drivers in a bad mood. Don't make their day worse or put yourself in danger by ignoring courtesy and guidelines of right-of-way on the streets. Now, since we're talking about safe and smart travel, I'll also remind you to be alert, to be watchful, and to be aware during World Youth Day. Krakow is an extremely safe city, but you should always be aware of your surroundings and exercise caution. When traveling through crowds and public places, be aware of your body and your belongings. Pickpocketing can happen, so be aware of what you're wearing and where you place your belongings. If you're at a restaurant or a cafe, be sure that you know where you put your jacket or bag, and definitely don't leave your phone or tablet lying around. And if you do run into any trouble or need help, authorities in Krakow have assured us that there will be many patrolmen around who will be very helpful to any Americans who need assistance. So let's move on now to talk about meals during World Youth Day. It's important to find out whether the place where you're staying for World Youth Day offers breakfast. Many hotels include breakfast in their packages. And if you're choosing accommodations through the World Youth Day Organizing Committee and staying with host families or in the communal accommodations, breakfast will be provided by the local host parish and its parish organizing committee. Keep in mind that a traditional Polish-style breakfast includes some foods that are not typically served in the U.S. for breakfast. A typical Polish-style breakfast buffet includes meats, like ham or turkey, sliced cheese, breads and rolls, cereals and granola, yogurt, hard-boiled eggs, and scrambled eggs, which, between you and me, tend to be a bit watery in Poland, and of course, juice and coffee. But other foods on the buffet often include salad, usually a green salad with lettuce, cucumber, and tomato, Polish sausage, either steamed or sometimes fried, hot dogs, other sausages, pâté, chicken salad, pasta salad, tuna salad, egg salad, sometimes fish, and other similar dishes. It's just good to be aware of the different items you might see and be prepared to try new things. For lunch and dinner during the days of World Youth Day, the organizers are going to implement what they call the mixed system. This means that meals will be available from over 2,000 bars and restaurants in Krakow and the surrounding areas, and they will also be adding about 100 additional facilities serving food at the sites with the greatest numbers of pilgrims. All of these options will accept both meal vouchers and money. You'll be able to find the list of food-serving places on the World Youth Day 2016 app when it's released and online at krakow2016.com. Meal tickets or vouchers will be given to pilgrims who registered for a package which included meals. There's several different registration packages, so you'll want to check which package you've registered for and how many days' worth of meals it covers. There's a chart which shows the registration packages and applicable meal tickets at krakow2016.com. With the packages that include all or most meals for the main days of World Youth Day, Tuesday through Friday, pilgrims will receive 2 tickets, one for a smaller meal and one for a larger meal. You can choose which ticket you want to use at which time of day. Most Americans, of course, are used to eating a smaller meal for lunch and a larger one for dinner, while many other cultures enjoy their larger meal midday and a smaller option in the evening. So this voucher system allows for flexibility in when you eat, how much you eat, where you eat, and what type of food you eat. Since the tickets can be used at a wide variety of restaurants and distribution points, it gives an opportunity for all of us to experience a variety of foods. For Saturday's Vigil and Sunday's Final Mass at Campus Misericordiae, pilgrims who registered with a package that includes meals are entitled to a packed meal. Packed meals will be given out at distribution points on the routes leading to Campus Misericordiae. This packed meal will contain items you can eat on Saturday and Sunday. Now, as you think about food, you might be wondering how you'll order any of these delicious meals in restaurants if you don't know any Polish. Well, the good news is that while Polish is the primary language of the land, English is spoken widely, especially throughout the hospitality industry, places like airports and hotels, restaurants and stores. Restaurants typically have a bilingual menu or an English version of their menu. And don't worry, the servers are pretty good at figuring out that you need an English menu without you even having to ask. And remember, at World Youth Day, almost everyone is from somewhere else, so you won't be the only one who isn't speaking the native language. Another few tips you'll want to remember. Tipping is not really customary in Poland. While here in the US, we're used to leaving a 15 to 20% tip at a restaurant, it's not the custom there. On the flip side, be aware that the public toilets are not always free. This is actually true in many parts of Europe, not just Poland. There can be a charge in Poland of 1 to 2 zloty, which most often will need to be paid with coins, so be sure to always keep some zloty coins on you. Speaking of zloty, that's the Polish currency. It's abbreviated PLN, in case you see those letters written on signs, in menus, or on price tags. Bills of zloty come in denominations of 200, 100, 50, 20, and 10. And there's also zloty coins that are 5 or 2 or 1. Each zloty is equivalent to 100 groszy, kind of like our penny. Groszy coins are 50, 20, 10, 5, 2, and 1. The exchange rate varies, and you'll want to check it before you go, but it's currently $1 to 3.88 zloty. Trust me, your dollar will go far in Poland. I'd recommend that you exchange some currency before you leave, and that you order it in advance. Not all banks and currency exchanges in the US will keep zloty on hand, so they'll need some time to order it for you. If possible, when ordering currency, request a mix of denominations, since it's helpful to have some smaller bills. Some of the smaller shops won't be able to break a larger bill if you're only buying a small item. You can also get currency from an ATM once you're there, but it's best to have some local currency when you arrive. And certainly, many establishments accept credit cards as well. If you use a credit card there in Poland, they'll usually ask you whether you want to pay in zloty or in American dollars. You can check with your particular credit card company about their recommendation, but it's generally advisable to pay in American dollars to avoid a separate fee. And don't forget, if you plan to use a credit card while traveling, be sure to call the company before you go to let them know. I hope this information helps you to feel more comfortable about traveling to Krakow and know what to expect when you're there. It truly is a beautiful city, and its religious heritage is powerful and palpable. If you can, before you go, take some time to learn more about the city and some of the important religious and cultural places of interest. This way you'll know some of the stops you'll definitely want to plan into your time at World Youth Day. Now that you know more about getting around, how to find meals, and how to pay for things, you can focus more of your energy on preparing your head, your heart, and your soul to take in this magnificent city. I'll see you in Krakow.
Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the merciful, for it is mercy that shall be shown to those who show mercy. Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the merciful, for it is mercy that shall be shown to those who show mercy.